Hello, Saints. We're again in Romans 11, and we're continuing on. Because of their unbelief, the Jews had been left behind. God had allowed them to have a spirit of stupor, so to speak, to not see and not hear what the message is. But for those who believe, they come in. We have that one new church. But we find that there's always just the one root that feeds all, Jew and Gentile. There's not two different trees. And so we pick up here in verse 16. He says that regarding their rejection, he says, "For if their rejection is a reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance be but life from the dead?" He says, "If the first piece of dough is holy, the lump is also. And if the root is holy, the branches are too." And so that's important for us to consider. There is one root. "For if some of the branches were broken off," the unbelieving Jews, "and you being a wild olive," us goyim, "were grafted in among them and became partaker with them of the rich food of the olive tree," he says, "don't be arrogant toward the branches." Sometimes we Christians have not treated the Jews well. We just refer to them as the murderers of Christ. But he says, don't be arrogant to them. He says, "But if you are arrogant, remember that it is not you who supports the root, but the root supports you. You will say then, 'Branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in.' Quite right. They were broken off for their unbelief. But you stand by your faith. Don't be conceited, but fear. For if God did not spare the natural branches, he will not spare you either. Behold then the kindness and severity of God to those who fell. Severity, but to you God's kindness, if you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off." And they also, referring to the Jews, says that if they do not continue in their unbelief, will be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again. "For if you were cut off from what is by nature a wild olive tree and were grafted contrary to nature into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these, who are the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I do not want you, brethren, to be uninformed of the mystery, so that you will not be wise in your own estimation, that a partial hardening has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in." And again, I want to direct you to those first 3 chapters of Ephesians, which tells the story of the great mystery of God, which is the community of Christ, the ecclesia, or the church, as we refer to it. This is the transitioning that we see happening right before our eyes. This is the power of the gospel, not just to change a nation, but to change the world. Until next time, blessings.